Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Energy Newsbeat podcast. My name's Steve Turley, President of the Sandstone Group. I'm here in Edmond, Oklahoma with two industry legends. And I mean, we are about to have a great talk. I've got Mark Stansberry, and he is an author. We've got his book and his America Needs Energy and Its Natural Resources. What a week to have you as a guest. Mark, thank you so much.
Thank you, Stu. This is a blessing. I think so highly of you and think highly of Steve. Through the years, he's done some great things for Oklahoma and our nation and nationally, as well as you have. And I'm very blessed to be here with both of you and to share the news about energy. And really appreciate you mentioning the book, because I had the first book was America Needs America's Energy, creating together the People's Energy Plan. And that book was pretty thick in nature. People couldn't read it on the plane necessarily, but I wanted something that could be used in a smaller way, in that way, as far as being able to take it, put it into a briefcase or whatever you have, take it with you, and it's small, but it was condensed. So I got with the OSU master's degree program at Wes Watkins Center for International Trade Development.
At OSU?
OSU, and so they wound up helping us. We got the program started that way, the book, that is. It was called a monograph because it's not a book. It's a taking from the book, put in a monograph format. And it's America Needs America's Energy and Its Natural Resources, comparing coal with oil and gas and all the different forms of energy to say, here's what we know, here's what we need to talk about, here's the debate, here's the future, how are we going to address that? So anyway, yes, thank you for the intro to that, and I appreciate it very much.
What's really cool about your book, we're about to jump over to Steve here first, but your book has got great information at like ethanol, and I'm on a push to kill ethanol. And how do you know about ethanol? Here it is right here.
Right.
It's on page 36.
That's right. And you can look at all the different nuclear fission and fusion and you name it, at least to be able to dialogue and have what we need to have as a putting the plan together. So I appreciate the Ham Institute at OSU, the Harold Ham Institute, as well as the Wes Watkins Center for National Trade Development, for reprinting the book, the monograph. And that means a lot. Thank you.
That is fantastic. And our next guest is Steve Reese. Steve Reese is a legend in my mind. And I mean, not only is he a legend in my mind, I have really, truly enjoyed getting to know you over the years. And Steve Reese is also the sponsor of the Daily Energy Newsbeat. And we are so appreciative of your backing of the show. Thank you, Steve. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we've been engaged with Stu a couple of years, and he's like a brother to us, and he's been a prayer warrior for me and my family through some issues we had. But we're excited to be on here again and kind of maybe pontificate a little bit today about a lot of the new things that are happening with our LNG business, our data center business, and some other things we're into, and how the world changed so much here just in 5 months.
It's crazy.
That's right.
And Steve, we were kind of laughing that as we sit here, we just had President Trump and his great team of Chris Wright, Doug Burgum, and Lee Zeldin. The only way that we're going to be able to lower energy costs is without the trio getting after it, reducing regulatory issues. They had the coal announcement this week. What an announcement.
Yeah, it's phenomenal that this time last year, basically the plan was to shut down all coal to basically, try to stop any permitting of pipelines of production. And we're going to move all in on wind and solar and some other things. And not that there's not a place for those in specific areas, like I've always said on the show, but also that, this administration understands the balance between low prices for the consumer and profitable prices for oil and gas producers. It's a hard balance. Mark and I have found that for over 30 years. So these guys know what they're doing, and we be patient. And I think that a lot of people on both sides.
Oh, unbelievable. And so the tariff war going on, how brilliant is the art of the deal when you sit back and kind of go, I need everybody to talk to me. And he goes, tariffs for everybody. And then they all come running to the table and he goes, well, not you, China, because you're ignoring me. Now, how does this apply to energy in the data centers? And in the data centers, we're going to see a huge demand. And I've been doing a review of the U.S. grid, and the U.S. grid is not in good shape. And Texas ERCOT is doing a pretty good job. They've got at least the budget numbers for the next 5 years. But we're seeing AI and the increase of demand. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Well, I think it goes back to looking at the full picture, which Steve does. I mean, he looks at from the standpoint of economics and so forth that drive the economy. And so when you're looking at how to drive it, you're trying to get costs down, more efficiency, meaning there's some companies are looking at it from the form of data management, digital transformation. I call it digital transformation from the whiteboard to the boardroom. And that is making sure that the information that you have as far as the energy business and energy future is right in front of you to make good decisions. What's really what we're trying to do is get everything on an even playing field for tariffs. And we need that same in the energy business. And I agree with Steve. We're going to have some good times ahead, no question.
Really humorous and ironic. If he would have come out 2 months ago and said, everybody's getting a 10% tariff, everybody would have lost their mind. So what he did was he set them way up here, and then everybody lost their mind, and they all called the house. And then he said, okay, we'll do 10%. And they go, well, that's awesome. I mean, all that transpired, just in a few days. Phenomenal. But Mark brought up a good point about the data centers, which my team's involved in on about 6 projects.
Wow.
These are massive, massive, power hungry, demand centers. And no way that they can hook up to the grid or they would shut the lights off in the Western United States. So they all necessarily need 24/7, 365 power. Guess what? My old buddy natural gas to the rescue, and they're going to be generating your own power on site with these big turbines.
Right.
And they're coming to firms like ours to say, you need a pipeline connection, contracts, planning and analysis, etc. Dovetail that with the increased LNG demand that's coming on. We're at our demand right now across the United States is a little north of 100 billion feet a day.
Wow.
In 5 years, I could easily see it be 150 to 170 BCF a day. And some people are estimating it to double. If that happens, there's no doubt that we're going to have to throw up more in specific areas, but natural gas is going to be king.
When we sit back and take a look at this, everybody was sitting there kind of wondering about the oil prices as it relates to the tariff. And we saw that it hit in the 50s and everybody was panicking, and all the great EMP operators are going, well, I guess we're laying a bunch of rigs down. And I'm like, no, hang on, wait 15 minutes. And when we look at the overall oil market, it's a global market. You have India screaming through the roof. They are going to be number one importer. Oil prices are still going to remain high. This is my prediction. We will still see $75, $80 oil as long as China remains flat, and they still buy everything. India is going through the roof. There's your 2 biggest people right there that are going to be contributing to oil demand.
No doubt.
I'd say, hold on tight it's a transition.
It's a transition.
We're going through a transition period that's so critical in the planning stages.
Yep.
So when you're planning, you don't want to just jump in and change the world. You've got to look at it from the perspective of years. I mean, drilling wells and a plan of drilling wells in a field, it takes time. And you don't just jump in. I mean, you've got so many different parts of the science that's involved, geophysics, geology, land, and so forth. But what's needed now, we're hearing a lot about drill, baby, drill. But we need to, instead of drill, baby, drill, we need to build, in a sense, build, baby, build. And that is infrastructure, as far as that goes. We need that as important.
So when we sit back and go, this is a transition. And if you're doing your drilling, and whether or not, Michael said this yesterday on our podcast, I thought this was a brilliant point. When we look at how we analyze wells and the economics, you take a look at the economics, and if you've got a $5 swing in oil and you're worried about drilling, you're probably not got the right well. So, we take a look at it and say, wait a minute, how far down can we go and still make money?
These are good. And the article this week, Chevron now is going to start triple fracking wells. So they're going to frack 3 wells at a time. I mean, think of the cost savings, because a lot of these big shale wells in the Permian, the completion costs are cost more than the well itself. So we always find a way, and it's amazing. we do a lot of work in the Haynesville Shale.
Yep.
And there are wells and well pads out there that produce 50 to 100. That's, and those guys out there, they can take low gas prices just because of the how prolific basin.
You know, Steve, and we sit here and we take a look, microgrids and location of pipelines are going to be critical for AI and data centers in meeting demand. And so when you take a look, you've got the Marcellus up there and you've got the Haynesville and you've got the Permian. You almost sit back and kind of go, if I'm a data center, I either want to be in Texas, Louisiana, or Pennsylvania.
Problem is, a lot like, think about that, right? From time to time, we'll have clients that we're going to go drill a 5-well program here, and I go, there's not a pipeline on the same planet. But one of the things that we're looking at that are more remote is we're working with the developers with the small scale LNG liquefaction.
Nice.
And put the LNG in small ISO containers, about 1 million cubic feet each of these containers, put them on a truck and roll them right for fish.
No way.
So and they're doing that a lot right now for frac fuel to replace diesel on stuff. Frac. So we find a way.
LNG, and we take a look at the shipping, the amount of Princess Cruise Lines, box containers, box shipping container ships across the bunkering fuel, and I track that across the world. The number of LNG to or LNG to straight power plants is going through the roof. LNG is here to stay.
Right.
It is. You know, we've had an office in Berlin now, so we set up an office there 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Knowing one of my partners actually ran the largest bank in Russia.
Wow.
That my partners know the game over there, and we have interviewed and met with over 75 German CEOs, from Mercedes to the glass guys, the tire guys. 100% they all want LNG. We've already signed offtake agreements with end users there in Poland of about 3 million metric tons. That's just in a year or so. So there's the demand over there is phenomenal, and it's just
the ballpark price is about $6 compared to $15 to $18 LNG. But you brought up a great point, and that is I'm willing to pay that cost difference between LNG and pipeline for security. And so this is a message to President Trump.
The point is, I've been doing gas 40-something years. The top of your inbox isn't always priced. Most of the time, it's deliverable.
Exactly.
It's show up. And it would just be like in high school. She might be an ugly date, but she can show up.
Exactly. I like that. I like the way you think, Steve. And so I use your story because people are saying it's cheaper by pipeline, but it'll show up. And so when President Trump has got his new shipbuilding thing, we're going to need lots of coal for the steel, but we have one U.S. tanker, one. Right. That does not make, and it is a small one, so it can be done under the Jones Act. We need to kill the Jones Act, and we need then our own tanker fleet so that we can't be sanctioned and shut down.
We've been talking about doing an export area in Virginia. Think of the cost savings.
Fabulous. It'll be fabulous.
Instead of South Texas.
Exactly.
So it's here to stay. And I don't care if the war ends and puts a great price out there to start moving gas back into Western Europe. They don't want it. They don't trust it.
Now it goes back to reliability. They really want to be reliable, and that's what they're looking for. And if they're looking at America to answer that, and accessibility, which means more infrastructure, more pipelines, that's what I mean by build, baby, build, to the point where we can go drill and make a meaning behind this.
Build. I love that one.
And go drill these wells that are natural gas wells and so forth. And I see going back to data management. There's a company called Data Squared, for example. They're going in and looking at how they can take information as AI. They're an AI company, taking that information and applying it to how they can drill better success for wells and financial management and so forth. So AI is tremendous, and I know that Oklahoma is being looked at for a lot of the data centers as well. So it's not just regional. I mean, we're looking at data centers. I mean, you're right, and it's amazing how many opportunities Oklahoma, Texas, our region, but across the whole nation. This is a big deal on the data centers. But I didn't mean to go back to that, Bits. Yeah.
If Microsoft starts applying for drilling permits, it would not surprise me to see those guys in the exploration. I mean, why
Wow.
not?
I think so too.
For gas supply.
We're seeing
Why
that.
would-
We're seeing that with Japan. Tokyo Gas
Exactly.
just bought
Caribbean
a
Basin.
Chevron play in the Haynesville.
There's Hayesville. Okay.
And so they're already doing the same thing. Your comment is brilliant.
Yeah.
Sorry, I did not mean to be
No.
nice, Steve. I'm sorry.
I'm stuck between OSU and OU. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's all right. It's all right. We'll make it.
Those guys, I mean, as big of monsters as Microsoft, yes, they're going to be the data kings of the world. At the end of the day, they're agnostic with respect to where they just want power.
Right.
And they want it reliable and relatively cheap. So at some point, now they're throwing big bucks at it right. The one that we're working on is a $500 billion project. And
Wow.
so at this point, they're not, the guys we're dealing with don't seem that concerned about this gas price or that gas price or Waha, Henry Hub, and all these different indices. But once you start operating, seeing your margin do this, they're going to look, what's the cheapest way we can do this? Let's just own the molecules. Let's own the reserves.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't surprise me at all.
I'll tell you, it's a brilliant move. And so they need to contact you. So Microsoft, he is Steve Reese with ReeseEnergyConsulting.com. Reach out to him and then send me a check for a lead gen.
I'll see what Larry's having for breakfast.
That's so great.
But I'll tell you, I'm sitting here thinking of this. This looks like Hawaii, right?
Oh, it does.
And we're sitting here in a beautiful backyard, and Hawaii has got 60% of their power by coal, fuel oil, the dirtiest substance on the planet. It's even worse than coal. And so they could benefit by having LNG. Oh, the Jones Act. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
I hate bringing that painful memory up.
It'd be nice would really help the coast. I still think there's hope that somebody in New York will wake up to realize how much natural gas they have into that state.
I hope so.
Pennsylvania, especially southern New York near some of the Indian reservations.
Right.
We looked at the minerals years ago in a couple of places, and it's phenomenal what they're missing out on.
You know what's
you're right.
sad is in your book, you talk about energy policy and policy. The Green New Deal has really cost Germany, UK, the EU, Delaware, New York, New Jersey, California, and you're seeing all these states that roll out the regulatory issues that you talked about. It's a huge issue. And until we get New York fixed with regulatory issues and they get their voter fixed, if Lee Zeldin had actually won the governorship,
Right.
you might be able to save New York.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I was on the board of an energy company years ago that we had interest in the Marcellus, which would be really focusing on New York, on leases, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. And we had to pull out of New York with all those leases because we had an office up at Pittsburgh as well, and basically shut that down because we weren't getting the support that we needed as far as the regulatory base that here in New York fighting us all the way. So firsthand, I would say that really caused capital market for us to move away, and it's going to be a long time before we want to go back. So if we go back,
If we go back,
as far as that company, but yeah.
Well, American Gas Partners, I'm a partner in it that's in Berlin now. The first customer my partners called on out there was BASF,
right.
massive industrial company. They had just laid off thousands of employees of C-suite guys. We were forced to use wind, and our electricity prices quadrupled.
And
so we can't stay at this.
They shut down their fertilizer plant. They shut down their largest steel plants. Deindustrialization is going on in Germany. It is real.
That's right.
We're thinking we're going to help save some jobs over there. I mean, we'll see, but they are singing the right tune, and they put pen to paper on some deals for us so far. So there's sure some hope. Yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you what. Be careful who you vote for. I'll tell you, this is exciting. So, Mark, how do people find you?
MarkStansberry.com. And I do want to share with you, we have a film that just got final editing yesterday.
Nice.
It's based upon Route 66 and the American Reality, which is speaking about energy, oil and gas, and so forth. And it's a mini documentary. and it's going to be coming out in May. So,
How fun.
so perfect timing for all that we're talking about as far as that goes. We got some issues ahead of us.
Oh, this will be fantastic. I loved your story on the Sherwood forest in
Yes.
England.
Yes.
That is a huge story of great exploration guys going over and drilling. Great story.
Well, thank you. And that's on PBS, as far as anybody wants to look at that. Particular, it's about a 57-minute documentary film. So hopefully you'll look at that. Yes.
And Steve, how do people find you?
Well, ReeseEnergy.com or ReeseEnergyTraining.com for our training courses, and American Gas Partners, Gas Partners.
Well, I tell you what, I can't wait to do this again, because this is absolutely what the United States needs, and that's information. And I'd like to thank all of our great listeners. Guys, we are on track for reaching 1.18 million transcripts read this year. We're on track. We did 8 million last year. We're on track, 18 million.
Congratulations.
And 2.4 million downloads is what we're expecting. So
Great. Oh, it's a great program. I listen to it very early in the mornings. I'd listen to you and Michael and Steve and others that are on the show. And I'm telling you, it's a big deal to me. And first thing in the morning, I've got to listen to you guys.
Sounds great. Hey, with all that, thanks. Check us out on energynewsbeat.co or theenergynewsbeat.substack.com. Thanks, guys.